And this is our fiberglass dash for the GTO. I think that thing weighs about 10 pounds or something. And there was a video I did where I showed that the trim of an OEM dash, I think, weighed 12 pounds or something. And that trim is these pieces, the side pieces, the instrument cluster, the lower piece here, the piece around the heater controls, glove box door, etc. People say they can get a OEM dash down to 10 pounds. Well, you can't, because just the trim weighs that. Miscellaneous pieces without the center part of the dash. So no, you didn't, unless you just cut it in half or just using the instrument cluster section. Sometimes I've seen cut down the middle and just cut off. But as a whole dash, nope, you're not going to get any lighter than this. One thing you'll notice is that the texture is still in it, just like factory. The GTO badge and airbag is still there. We've had guys paint these up like factory, paint the trim silver, make decals for the instrument cluster and the switches and things. Really look good like that. But again, this is Joe code. It really should be painted, have something done with it. One thing to take into consideration is that if you damage this texture to it, you're not going to be able to fix it. That is molded into the part, and it's next to impossible to fix that texture. So be real careful you're not scratching it or messing that up. We also trim these parts ready to go in the car. It's like the factory lip around the perimeter of it. And again, as any other composite, it's made thin to be lightweight. So be careful of this stuff when you're messing with it and using it. You know, don't grab the dash like this and just jerk the thing up off the ground, or be pulling and tugging on it. You're going to break it. And again, it wouldn't matter whose stuff you have. That's how you maintain the lightweight, is by making it thinner. We use a very high grade resin that's very strong for its weight, and our stuff is probably stronger than most. But again, if you're not careful, you'll break it. The instrument cluster area is filled in along with the steering column. If you want to put a tube column in it, you'll just be able to cut a hole. Same thing up here. You want to put a digital dash in, you got an area, flat spot to do that. You can put the switches back in if you want. The heater controls could go back in. The hazard button is there if you wanted to paint it red like factory. Painting this trim silver, you can do all that also. Some of the cars we built, we have cut the dash off right here, because the lower section, once you've moved the seat back and the pedals get moved back accordingly, the pedals end up putting your feet up in the bottom of the dash, to where that's just not feasible. So we do cut them off. If you're going to do that, let us know, and we will reinforce the dash across here a little bit so it's a little stronger when it's cut off. Normally the reinforcement is down here, because this is the strong edge. As you can see, there's a little lip on it like factory. Don't cut that off, because that little 90-degree makes it stronger down there. Again, this dash is trimmed and ready to go in. When we mount these, you can mount a piece of chromoly tubing off the cage that would come out and around with a couple Zeus fasteners in it. You can also put that piece of tubing off of the door jamb. Really depends on how you're doing it. You can put a Zeus fastener here and down here, wherever you need them, wherever works out for you, depending on your design. And you pull them Zeuses, pull that dash right out. All your electronics and things for maintenance are back there. Makes it real nice to be able to pull that dash out. When mounting the dash, I was saying about how you can put a piece of tubing that would fit inside of here with a couple Zeus tabs on it to Zeus it on. Of course, that again, that tubing would go to the roll cage or to the door jamb. You can also make a little U-shaped piece of sheet metal that would come up and hold this area right here, that when you put the dash in, the dash would slide into and hold it by the windshield. If you make the bottom half of it longer than the top, in other words, the clip, sheet metal clip you're making will be a little longer, come this way and then curl around and maybe only be 1/4, 3/8 of an inch long here. It'll help the windshield set on, or to help the dash set on that clip, ride in and then latch up underneath the other piece where you don't see it. Again, the little piece would be on top, and you can attach that to the windshield mounting area if you need to. Usually the dash will go in and hold itself in the right spot, but sometimes depending on how much stuff you've cut out and what you got going on, and if you've stored it the wrong way, you might need to put a little, like I said, a little clip right here. You can put a couple of them. You're not tied to just doing one. You might put one here, one in the middle, and one on the edge to help hold that in. One thing about the dash being fiberglass makes it real easy and real nice to trim out where the roll cage is going to go. It's a pretty simple matter to mark it and get that cut and fit. With a factory dash, you got all that foam and final cover, ends up looking like crap when you're done. So this way works out well. One thing too to consider is if you're building a cage, you're going to put the dash in, it's much easier to get the windshield bars in and then fit the dash to those and then put the X brace in and fit the dash to that. Trying to fit the dash to the windshield bars and the X brace bar at the same time is always a pain. So if you do it separately as you go along, you'll be a lot happier. One thing to note on this also, I'm storing it here the wrong way. Don't store it like this. You store it like this piece here is going to start to bow up toward the windshield once it's installed. You get one of our dashes and it doesn't fit across the windshield, it's real high in this area, that's how it's been stored. Again, there's ways to put that back. You can get with us and we'll help you come up with how the right way for what you've got going on, how to fix that. Best way to fix it, don't let it happen. To store the dash. Just let it lay there, natural. Again, you can have it on a towel or moving blanket so it doesn't get scratched up. But don't store it the way I had it for the initial part of the video, because it will eventually start to bow that top section of that dash. One thing to take into account also, like I said, this stuff is very lightweight. If you have it sitting on the roof of the car, sitting in the grass or in a stand somewhere, and the wind kicks up pretty good, the stuff is going to take off and you're going to end up losing the parts to a whole bunch of damage. I've seen hoods set up on the roof of cars and the wind blows and it blows them up against the side of the trailer, up against other cars, telephone poles and things. It never ends well. So when you're dealing with this lightweight stuff, think about that. The best thing to do is set the stuff inside the trailer where it's safe, no one steps on it or anything. I've seen that also. Composite hoods laid on the ground so they don't blow off. Some clown comes walking through the pit to pet your car and they step on the hood. So watch out for the idiots. They're everywhere.